Hi everyone, I am Mrs. Holly from North Pontotoc Middle School, and today I'm going to talk to you about Common Core RI 72, which states, determine two or more central ideas in a text and analyze their development over the course of the text. Provide an objective summary of the text. This may seem a bit of a struggle, but it's not. All you have to do is break down that text. Take it section by section, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a very simple way. Also, while you're doing that, you simply decide, what is this thing talking about? And then at the end, you just tell what it was talking about. It's really that simple. All right, so here we go. Have you ever come across a text in a test or in a classroom or whatever, for homework, whatever, and you think, this thing's huge. I cannot possibly read all of this. I don't want to read all of this. Well, it's really simple. Sometimes you have to. So I'm going to show you some ways on how to do that and still make it entertaining, make it interesting, make it worth your while. Okay? First thing you do, you try to picture in your mind, what is this thing talking about? Now, the article we're looking at is on Antarctica. Okay? A lake that's been found underneath this ice sheet of Antarctica. Wild, right? So what you do as you read through this is you're thinking in your mind, I've seen Antarctica. I kind of know what it looks like, so I can picture that at least, okay? And then as you read through it, you start thinking to yourself, I don't understand all of these words, but I understand what it's talking about. And that's the main idea right there. When you can understand what it's talking about, that's what's important. The other thing you want to try to do is make it fun. You can read it in your mind with different voices, different accents, all sorts of things to kind of make it interesting or make yourself want to look at it. Let's give it a try. A huge lake hides miles below the ice sheet that covers most of Antarctica. That's big news for anyone interested in Earth. But scientists who look beyond our planet are excited too. Astronomers see signs of thick sheets of ice covering large bodies of liquid water in other places in our solar system. This unseen world on our own planet could help scientists search for life beyond Earth. This possibility makes Antarctica one of the most valuable environments on Earth. At least that's how scientists view it now. Now we look at the central idea of the article, based on just the 2 paragraphs of the introduction we just read. Now, we're not going to read the entire paragraph again for the first one. We don't need to. We only need a simple statement, a lake below Antarctica. That's the subject of the entire article, and that's all we need. A lake below Antarctica. What about it? We take the notes, we put it on our note page, then we go to the next paragraph. We don't need to read it. We already know what it's about. That lake could help scientists find life beyond Earth. We're going to find out how in the article. That's not important in the introduction. So we take that note, we put it on our notes page, and to keep from plagiarizing, we put things in quotation marks that come directly from the text. And we put everything else in our own words. Scientists found a lake under the surface of Antarctica. They believe it can help them discover life beyond Earth. This particular article is spread out between different sections, and you'll see that, especially on the larger articles. And it's to help you get a better understanding of the whole thing by breaking it down into sections. So we're going to read this particular section, Unlikely in the Extreme. And just to have some fun with it, to show you one of those techniques I was talking about, we're going to read it in an interesting little voice. For a long time, most scientists didn't think liquid water could exist under Antarctica's ice cover. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. A research station called Vostok is located on top of a thick Antarctic ice sheet. Scientists there once recorded the surface temperature as negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 89 degrees Celsius. In the 1950s, Andrei Kapitsa, a Russian scientist working at Vostok, noticed something strange. A formation of very flat ice stretched over the research area. He believed it was a clue suggesting a body of liquid water existed below the ice. As part of a mapping project, pilots used ground-penetrating radar over the Vostok station. The data suggested the planes were flying over water. Even then, scientists did not fully realize that an amazing liquid world was hidden beneath the ice. Finally, in 1996, satellite technology revealed the shape of a huge subglacial lake. Lake Vostok is about 140 miles long. It is about 30 miles wide, and the water in the lake reaches as much as 2,625 feet deep. Such an immense size takes this lake one of the largest in the world. What seemed impossible turned out to be true. What is the central idea of the first paragraph of this section? All we need is that most scientists didn't think liquid water could exist under Antarctic's ice cover. Again, all this other information is important, but not for our purposes. Our purpose right now is just to find the central idea. And remember, pulling out these little pieces throughout the entire article is going to help us on a summary later. So we put that onto a note screen. Then we move on to the next paragraph. All right, what do we need from this one? All we need to know is that there was a formation of very flat ice, which was a clue suggesting a body of liquid water existed below the ice. That's all we need. So we put that on the notes page. Next paragraph. Looks big, but all we really need is that last little section. Satellite technology revealed the shape of that huge subglacial lake. So we slap that onto the notes page as well. Next paragraph, what do we need from it? Anything? No, we don't need anything from that last paragraph. It's basically just summing up that entire section of the article. So then we take all of our notes and we simply write this summary of that particular section, and that's all we need. Scientists once believed that liquid water could not endure under Antarctica. I said endure because we're using our own words here. We do not want to plagiarize. Now we move on to the next section of the article. Remember, our central idea was about this lake below Antarctica, and we've already read a little bit about that. But the second central idea was about finding life beyond our planet because of that lake. So let's see if that lake provides any signs of life. And again, we're going to have a little fun with the voice.
In addition to Lake Vostok, scientists found a huge system of rivers and almost 400 lakes hidden below the Arctic ice. This could be the largest wetland in the world, as much as 1.5 times the size of the United States. While some scientists mapped out these hidden lakes on Earth, others were discovering ice-covered environments elsewhere in the solar system. During the 1990s, the Galileo spacecraft flew by the planet Jupiter and its moons. As time went on, more research provided new possibilities. Other moons of Jupiter and Saturn seemed to be worlds where thick, icy shells surrounded large bodies of liquid water. Could life exist in such an extreme environment? It certainly seems unlikely. As with the discovery of Lake Vostok, the clues for scientists seeking life pointed to unlikely directions. Most of life on Earth depends on sunlight. How could sunlight penetrate an ice cover thousands of feet deep? What's more, they knew that any kind of life in this extreme environment would have to survive tons and tons of pressure from the ice above. Yet, in the deep ocean, some life forms exist without sunlight. Their nutrients come from the chemicals that rise from the ocean floor, from the deep inside the earth. These creatures have developed qualities that allow them to thrive under the weight of tons of water. Could living things with similar abilities exist in Antarctica's subglacial wetland? If they do, life might also be possible in the icy moons of the outer solar system.
What is the central idea of the section Signs of Life? Again, we're not going to read all of this. We don't need to. We just highlight exactly what's needed from those paragraphs. Huge system of rivers, almost 400 lakes, largest wetland in the world. This is telling us more about the lake. We need to know more about the lake, but we don't need all the extra little details it puts in there when we're finding central ideas and creating a summary. Others were discovering ice-covered environments elsewhere in the solar system during the time that they're discovering these lakes on Earth. Other moons, thick, icy shells around large bodies of liquid water. So they're finding the same things on other planets that they're finding in Antarctica. Very interesting. So then we look at the next section. We put in the article notes that we just took. And it's okay if your notes are straight from the text. Sometimes that's okay, as long as when you write your summary later, you're not quoting the whole article. You want to put some things in your own words, and the ones that you don't, they go in quotation marks. And so we look at the next sections to decide if there's anything we can use from them. Some life forms exist without sunlight. Develop qualities that allow them to thrive under the weight of tons of water. So we've got more information about the lake, but now we see ourselves moving into that section where it's talking about how life on Earth under all this ice can help us find life on other planets. We're getting there. So we put those notes in our notes page with all of the others, and then we go on and we create our summary for Signs of Life section. And it's very short. Scientists discovered hundreds of lakes that might be the largest wetland in the world beneath the ice. This discovery led to exploration of Jupiter and Saturn, looking for hidden lakes in outer space. Since some of life can exist without sunlight, they find other ways to survive extreme environments. Okay, so we've been introduced to the central idea of the whole article. We have looked at the lake itself. We have looked at the unlikely possibilities that there's life elsewhere, and we've looked at possible signs of life in the lake. Now we have to look for proof, which is what our next section is about. So let's see if we can have a little fun with this one. First, scientists needed to obtain a test water samples from Antarctica's hidden world. It was easier said than done. Antarctica's extreme cold and short summer season permits only a few months of research each year. Even then, drilling into the ice posed another big problem. Drilling technology used chemicals like kerosene and freon to help melt the ice, make a borehole, and keep it open. If the drill penetrated the lake, the chemicals could contaminate the water. This process could also produce microbes in the surface into water that had been isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years. Scientists had been drilling into the ice above Lake Vostok long before its discovery. The ice cores they obtained helped them study a record of Antarctica's climate going back hundreds of thousands of years. Ice just above the lake showed signs of microscopic life. It was a clue, but was not proof. A research team penetrated Lake Vostok in 2012. They used chemicals to melt the ice and keep the borehole open. However, they believed they did not contaminate the lake because water rushed into the borehole and froze. The team removed the ice core to study it. However, many other scientists questioned this method. In 2013, Lake Whillans, located in a different area of Antarctica, became the first subglacial lake where clean technology helped scientists obtain a water sample. Hot water and ultraviolet light helped sterilize the drills and equipment. Scientists wore sterile clothing so that they did not contaminate any water samples. They found almost 4,000 types of microbes, not only surviving but also thriving in Lake Villains. Some seem to feed on the chemicals found in solid water, called sediment, at the bottom of the lake. Others use dead bodies of other microbes as food. So far, scientists have found only single-celled microbes living in the few places where they have tested the subglacial water. More research and testing may help them discover if larger life forms survive in this extreme environment. And we are finally looking at the last section. What is the central idea of the section? Looking for proof. So we take the first two paragraphs and we look at them together, because this article has already provided us all the information we need really for the central idea, but we've got to pull out a couple more pieces here. They did have to obtain and test water samples, and the chemicals could contaminate the water, so that was dangerous. So we put those notes on our notes page, and then we move on to the next two paragraphs. Ice just above the lake showed signs of microscopic life. That's all we need to know. That's leading us into finding life on other planets. And so we put those notes on our notes page, and we look at the last section, the last few paragraphs. They had to sterilize the drills and equipment. They found single-celled microbes, and you don't have to put the word only in there because they did find single-celled microbes, so we just leave out the word only. It's not really that important. More research and testing will help them discover if larger life forms survive in this extreme environment. We put that on our notes page, and we write our final little section here of summary of this particular section. To find out more about possible life under the ice, scientists carefully sterilized their equipment before drilling. They did not want chemicals to harm the environment below. They discovered single-celled microbes, but they will continue to research, and they are hopeful they will find more advanced life sustained beneath the ice. Finally, we're ready for our entire summary. We already know the central idea, and if you'll notice, these four sections that I pulled are directly from the summaries that I wrote for each section. The first two sentences in that top section are from the introduction, where we determined the central idea. I didn't rewrite anything. This is the exact same thing I wrote on that previous section, that previous slide. Scientists found a lake under the surface of Antarctica. They believe it can help them discover life beyond Earth, quote unquote. The second one is from that section entitled Unlikely in the Extreme. It's at the very end of that section where we wrote that little summary for that section of the article. Scientists once believed that liquid water could not endure under Antarctica. Notice the ice sheet was very flat. They began to think it could happen. Then advanced technology proved this to be true. The next section, next summary. Scientists discovered hundreds of lakes that might be the largest wetland in the world beneath the ice. This discovery led to exploration of Jupiter and Saturn, looking for hidden lakes in outer space. Since some life can exist without sunlight, they found other ways to survive the extreme environments. To find out more about possible life under the ice, this is from the last section. Scientists carefully sterilized their equipment before drilling. They did not want chemicals to harm the environment below. They discovered a single-cell microbes, but they will continue to research, and they are hopeful they will find more advanced life sustained beneath the ice. There you have it, guys. You've read through this entire huge article that seemed impossible when we first looked at it because it seemed so long, just like it does when we're on tests and homework or whatever we're doing. But we read through the whole thing, and hopefully you had a little bit of fun with it, and maybe the next time you're faced with something like this, you can think in your mind, you know what, this sounds big, but I know a lot of these words, and I'm pretty sure I can figure out what this thing's talking about. I'm going to break it down into smaller sections and maybe have even a little bit of fun with it up here. You guys have a great day. See you soon.